Dustin, what are we doing with our lives?
I don't know. Picked a really weird year to start streaming Canucks games.
Gosh. Like, what is this? Montreal has like 4 high quality scoring chances. All of them are on a breakaway. Like, every single Canucks defenseman's been walked. Like, each one of them has taken their turn getting walked.
Yep.
Okay, wait. I hate everything right now.
Bitten right now. Like, he had 2 glorious chances.
Yep.
And that one, I mean, you could maybe argue that there was a hair of the puck on the line. Like, goodness gracious, if that thing had spun like 45 degrees when it was in that first spot, that's a goal. But because it is on the line and then turns again and stays on the line, like, there was never any white space in between that red line and the puck. And it's just really unfortunate. I mean, they are pressing. The majority of the offense has been coming from the Canucks, except for, like you said, those couple of plays that, for whatever reason, our defensemen are they're not communicating well, and they're losing that wide guy is sneaking in behind them, and the pass is getting through. It seems to be a set play that Montreal just keeps using and is burning our defensemen, and they'll just keep going back to that well until it dries up. It was a pretty bad read there anyways off the first goal when Besser turns it over. Marcus Pettersson doesn't expect that turnover. Myers is busting to the other side boards because he's expecting the ring around from Besser. It gets stopped, and that completely breaks up the offensive play. When it goes back the other way, both our D-men are just out of position. Suzuki's wide open going down the middle there, and a really good play by Suzuki to get it on the backhand. And then obviously the second one, Lankinen probably wants back, not his best stuff on that second goal.
On that one, it almost looked like it might have gone off the stick, but I think it was probably going top cheese either way.
Yeah, I mean, even if it did get a bit of the stick on that one was far enough out that Lankinen probably wants that save back. And then, yeah, I mean, just they did have a couple of good looks there, but can't seem to beat Montembeault or the posts right now.
Can we talk about why Shilovs is not starting this game?
I don't know. You and I talked about it. I thought he would, and then I thought they would have given Lankinen the Flames tomorrow, but maybe they feel like Shilovs gives them a better chance to win tomorrow, or maybe they feel like tomorrow isn't as important if they lose tonight. I don't know. Like, we can question Tocchet's coaching decisions till the cows come home, and I won't have answers for you because it's 64 games into the season, and I'm wondering who's going to be playing with who in the second period.
I'm just starting to think we need someone who's not an old school guy. Like, I think you've said this a couple times now. Like, does Tocchet just have like zero ability to actually communicate with anyone who's under the age of 30?
Well, and I think I sent you that graphic a while back, about last week, of Tocchet's last year in Arizona as a head coach, and the way he murdered their offense in that last season. And someone on that team of note was one Phil Kessel. And I think you recall last year, there was rumors Phil Kessel might sign with the Canucks because he was on that PTO. Then it was pretty clear that him and Tocchet's relationship was still sour from that back then when he basically ended any offensive talent that Kessel had. And then he just seems to continue on that road of I don't deny that he's a great defensive coach and he brings structure and accountability. However, he's got to get these guys going, but also have a little faith in them. And he doesn't seem to have any trust in anyone other than, I guess, maybe Connor Garland.
I mean, I don't know if I trust anyone either, right? Like, is EP40 giving you Brock Besser, like DeBrus? Like, those are 3 guys who are supposed to be lighting up the league. And I don't think I trust, like, Brock Besser is a defensive liability all of a sudden. And Elias Pettersson is like, I don't know if I heard his name once tonight so far.
Yeah, he's got 2 new wingers again. Like it's I don't know how anyone's expected to find any chemistry when it's been the entire year. I don't think there's been 3 games in a row with the same lineup. Even with a healthy lineup, I think it's been juggled. Even with the healthy guys, I don't know. Someone would have to do some deep dive digging into each lineup throughout the season, but it'd be pretty rare that there was at least 4 games in a row where people were playing with the same guys.
I found an up. I mean, it's not
62% in the faceoff dot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can say that. 2 ups. We found 2 ups. 62% in the faceoff dot. But also, I mean, he finally did it. At least we got one of the lines we wanted. We wanted Bluger back with Dakota and Connor, and it's happened, right? So we'll at least I'll take that as a win because that was actually probably the best line for the Canucks. So surprise, surprise, Tocchet, you should have done that earlier in the year because then maybe you would have had a good third line for more of the season than the last 20 games that we got to play here.
Oh, you mean a team last year that had great chemistry could have had it again this year if you had just let them work through their slump? Weird.
Well,
I don't know any other teams in the league that do that. I'm pretty sure all the teams put their lines in a blender and break up their top 6 constantly and send them all over the lineup.
Let's just slap O'Connor up there because he's definitely a top 6 guy in this league, right?
Man, like the love in with Tocchet is done. Yeah. I get it. Like I understand why people defend his coaching style and like his coaching style when it comes to the defensive side of the puck, but probably shouldn't have let the guys who knew how to coach the offense go.
Well, it's one of those things, right? And I think it's a more clear distinction when it comes to like a football team, like offensive, defensive coach and stuff like that. And sometimes there's like a really good defensive coordinator who ends up being a head coach and just can't do it because he doesn't understand the dynamics of an offense. I'm really starting to think that's kind of my feel with Tocchet, where as an assistant coach coaching on the defensive side of things, he would be awesome. But when you got Tocchet as your head coach, who's a defensive guy, and then you got Foot as another defensive guy, right? Like, yeah, essentially have 3 defensemen running this team, right? Even though Tocchet was a forward, I know that, but
yep. And Besser, 41 goals last year. Miller, career high in points last year. Petey, career high in points the year before that. And we fire the 2 coaches that are responsible for the offense. And suddenly this year, the offense is not good. Why? I don't know. I don't get why everyone as fans can't see that. And their frustration and anger is a lot of the time misdirected at the players. Yeah, the players need to give more, but they're not being put in position to succeed by their coaching staff at all.
When the team looks this disinterested every game, you have to start asking different questions. It's not like you need to figure your stuff out and get up for the game. It's like, why are they not able to get up for the game ever?
Well, if you're sitting on that bench in any given shift, you don't know who's going out there on your line. It's a tough way to live.
Okay. The next 2 topics are kind of related because we're going to talk about the rotating aids that threw the Canucks media into a frenzy to the point where Tocchet had to come out. So the rotating A's, Brock Besser got his A removed, right?
Yeah.
Marcus Pettersson gets an A.
Yeah. They've been rotating all season, for one. Like, Tocchet's not wrong about that. It was like person X wears it at home and person Y wears it on the road. And that was happening all season. The only time it gets noticed is when a guy who comes in that has been talked about since the day he got there about how he's already been a leader in the room. He's vocal. He's taking the young kids under his wing, and he plays the game the right way. Why wouldn't you give him an A when your team is struggling to find leadership? Like, it's not like they ripped the C off of Quinn and gave it, like, the alternate captains are there to have an in-between the bench and the officials. Like, they're the guys who are allowed to go talk to the officials. Mm-hmm. And yes, they're supposed to be your leaders, but it's not as big a job as the guy who wears the C. Like, he's the guy. He's says all, and that's the one that matters. And so it's just funny that with all the drama that surrounded Besser around the trade deadline, it's just typical of like one of the Vancouver media. And we'll just say it was Farhan who tweeted this out.
Yeah.
And he got called out by other ones, just other media, just saying like, "Why? What's the point?"
Yeah.
It's just was 100% to just start drama that is unnecessary and is likely not even there. Like, who cares who's wearing the A's right now? All I care is about this team winning and giving their best. Like, I could give a shit who's got an A on their jersey.
Yeah. So yeah, the Vancouver media making up stories, but then the next point is Canucks PR, which also just came out, where essentially what they said is they and I mean everyone does monitor the general media landscape, but apparently they have people who work for the Canucks who will go through Twitter and Reddit and all these social media sites and put together a report, and they send that out to everyone on the Canucks team. Like, I'm thinking that's overkill. Does that seem like overkill to you?
I would have to know more about what other organizations do with that side of things. I mean, you have to have some sort of social media team when it comes to that sort of stuff, because there is a lot out there. And I mean, sometimes there might be actually good stuff out there by some other analysts, across on the East Coast that you might not notice if you're not watching those types of media boards. However, all the negativity too can cause issues as well. Like, that can cause some emotional responses, even from the top down. But I mean, you'd have to be an idiot not to realize that the Canucks PR has kind of been fumbling the ball since day one of Rutherford and Alvin getting here. Um, everything from like the Bo Horvat situation and the way he got traded, and pretty much hockey moves aside, because that's kind of what gave fans rose-colored glasses for this new regime.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a management slag so many players in public before. There's a way to criticize your players in a good way, but they just straight up come out and are super cutthroat. And I don't know if it's supposed to be a reverse psychology thing, but I don't think their fire up tactics are working. Um, Maybe showing some confidence in your players instead of constantly cutting them down after they give you everything they got is not the best way to motivate some of these younger guys in this newer generation.
Yeah, from the sounds of it, the depth of how much they're digging into the social medias is not normal across the NHL from what I saw in the report.
Hmm.
But I mean, like, apparently they have two interns who sit there and go through Reddit and Twitter. And it's not that they're just looking for like me tweeting about the
Yeah.
Canucks. They're looking for, what does Ian McIntyre say? What is Farhan Lalje saying? What is,
Yeah.
Squire Barnes, if Squire Barnes is on the internet? I don't know. Right. So, but it's still, yeah, it seemed like it's I don't know. In my opinion, it sounded like a little bit overkill to be that into it, because maybe they take that report and they say, oh, well, now Farhan Lalji is not going to get the interview that he asked for. Right. That's kind of the vibe it gave, but I don't know if that's
Well,
as far as
yeah,
they take it.
the Canucks media and PR has been kind of a mess since the new regime came in and kind of closed the doors to a lot of the media in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like, there's only a select few with PR passes. There's only a certain number that can travel with the team. Like, it's really, really different than it used to be. And it makes it a lot harder for these guys to get access to actual stories. And
Mhm.
and I think that sometimes leads to them grasping at straws and making things up because they are so far removed from the dressing room. Back in the previous days, we'd watch a post game scrum, and there'd be 100 microphones shoved in a guy's face. Like, you have to answer to everybody, and all the players took the time to talk to the media, and they didn't really have a chance to avoid it. And I think there's a fine line between overprotecting your players and trying to control the narrative too often. And I think the Canucks are very guilty of that. I mean, it's obvious they try to control the narrative with the way they put out stories, or the way they talk, and certain sound bites that they give and quotes that they give. But I really don't think that I think the fans are kind of over it, um, especially the ones that have given so much of their time to be a fan of this team, and love certain players, and love the fact that those players have been loyal specifically like Besser. When you say those things about Besser, it extends and you start hurting fans. And when you start hurting the fans, they start not wanting to come to games. And when fans don't want to come to games, you take money out of the owner's pocket, and that's when things start to go south.
Tocchet says earn it. We may have touched on this a little bit already in our conversation, but are you agreeing with the decisions that he's been making, like minimizing the minutes for Besser, minimizing the minutes for DeBrusk, minimizing the minutes for Pettersson? Because even though you're an NHL player, he says you still have to earn your spot on this roster.
It's a fair statement if you're, as a coach, putting them in the best position to succeed. There's plenty of top lines and top players that struggle around the league. But you know what their coaches don't do? Their top line does not get broken up. They are stapled together and they fight through the slump and they find a way to get through it. You know, most coaches want chemistry to develop with lines. Like Tocchet talked about how he was a pairs guy when he came in here, right? Like he liked pairs of guys. Where are those pairs now? They're nowhere to be found. Like Tocchet seems to think that like every single guy should be able to play with all 12 guys on the forward lineup any given night. And that's just not how the NHL works. You have to be able to get used to where guys are going to go to instinctively, and then you can start putting the puck there, and you get to a point where you don't have to think. This whole season has been our guys overthinking it, and that's been constant in the offensive zone. Where is this guy going to be? Oh, he does this. Oh, I'm playing with O'Connor tonight. He's going to be here. Oh, no, I'm playing with Lecker-Mackey tonight. He's going to be over here. I'm playing with Garland tonight. He's going to be over here. That is ridiculous coaching. I don't understand how more people aren't on top of this when it comes to Tocchet. And it just, until we get some, he starts talking about consistency. That's the one thing he's been talking about for the last couple of weeks, is we need to find some consistency. He also needs to find some consistency in his lineup.
Yeah, I think the players would appreciate it. Didn't have a chance to get to the Abbey Canucks. They're live right now. They just entered the first intermission down there in Abbotsford against the Bakerfield Condors, so we can finishing updating that game when we finish up with the post-game show after this disaster. I mean, this game.
Yes, of course. And just to answer one quick thing, I just saw a comment, and no, there is no chemistry without Quinn Hughes. But Quinn Hughes is a defenseman, so that doesn't mean you have to juggle the forward lines there, lefty.
And Big Hog was wondering if you liked the video that he made of you.
Oh, of course.
Nailed it.
Loved it.
We're going to put you to work more, Big Hog.
Yeah. Cool. Enjoy the rest of the game, guys.
Nothing is perfect.